Okay. Hello and welcome once again to What's the Damage, companion show to the incredibly well-known, popular, and internationally renowned, internationally acclaimed real play D&D show Roll for Damage. Last week, our heroes had a couple of heart-to-hearts. We finally found Dobby's fancy knives and fought entirely too many spiders. Just more spiders than was comfortable for any of us, I think. Me and my guest today will be talking in its incessant nerdy detail about all of that, as well as discussing running published modules like official post modules from Wizards of the Coast and making them into your own little games. That's fun. We're talking your Tombs of Horror, your Water Deep Heist, your Curse of Strahd. We're going to be getting in real deep in all that. As always, stick around after the stream for links and resources to support the ongoing fight for racial justice in the United States. Thank you to Sunbird and Lady Meows, who designed our logo and did our intro theme. And find their info on our Twitch page. I'm your host, Truth Venson, and this is What's the Damage? Okay. Awesome. Okay. Quick fun fact. Did you guys know Chad used to be in college radio?
I was.
Anyway, he was. Anyway, so join me
it.
today. Yeah. No, you're beautiful. Don't put yourself down like that. So join me today is Chad, who plays Quinn on the stream, and Caleel, who plays Beltaim. How are you doing, guys?
Oh, swell.
Good.
Excellent. So what is the damage this week? You fought so many spiders. It was uncomfortable to watch. I didn't enjoy it.
It was uncomfortable to do.
Yeah.
There were so many spiders. I feel like
spiders.
That we need to, when this is over, and we leave this down, we need to sit down with like the the comptroller or like just building commissioner of this place and be like, you need a regulation of number of spiders per building. And that number
do you have animal control here?
Yeah, that number needs to be no more than 2 per building.
So there's 2 normal spiders or like 2 big spiders?
I think it depends on size of spiders. Like there's a curve for like X size means Y number of spiders.
If this big of a spider, then X amount of spiders allowed in the city in this general location per the police chief. You know?
If spider can be ridden like a horse, you are allowed 1 per building.
I don't know, guys. That still seems like too many for me.
No, it is.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't like spiders unless they're going to bite me and give me superpowers.
Spider zoning laws.
Spider
zoning laws. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, interesting too. There were like frost spiders in the middle of a desert. Not what you would expect.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't think they'd be native to the middle of a desert climate, but
yeah.
You never know. Maybe they were smuggled in along with all that fruit.
It's a huge conspiracy.
The fruit.
Maybe, you'll know.
Fruit that's extra common to this area, and there are trees growing up through town.
It's all a huge conspiracy, guys. Dobby was right. Dobby will be vindicated. That is my prediction for this campaign. Dobby will be vindicated.
If he is, there will be no living with him after that. He'll just be completely insufferable. Completely, as opposed to partially insufferable. I want to make that distinction.
Right, which he is now, right?
He's now partially insufferable, yes. Okay. That means he's partially sufferable.
Yeah. What percentage is he insufferable to sufferable, would you guys say?
I find the hijinks quite worth it. So for me,
I do. In character, not so much, but out of character, I'm just like, where the fuck's this crazy shit going? Yeah. In character, not for it. As a player, I just like watching the crazy train and seeing when it's going to come off the rails.
Yeah, you kind of need that one character who's going to get you into shit.
Yeah, it keeps things moving.
Yeah, but see, we have like 4 of those. So
I feel like we also need zoning laws of number of characters that get us into a manner of hijinks.
God, you can have 1 per party depending on how big they are. So I guess Dobby, who does not weigh 48 pounds apparently, does he still count as small? He counts as a small troublemaker. Yes. Okay, cool. So you can have 2 if you have Dobby as one of them. That's my ruling. So Baltaim actually gets along pretty well with Dobby, and you guys had a bit of a heart-to-heart at the beginning of this episode on Friday. I really wanted Jay on here because Dobby did so much cool shit. But anyway, so I just wanted to ask Caleel, what initially made Baltaim just want to be friends with Dobby or want to be a little bit more tolerant of Dobby than the rest of the group is? Why is that?
It has nothing to do with my love of the player itself. I don't
know. purely character reasons.
I don't know. I think for Baltaim, I'd like to imagine that he was a troubled child when he was younger. I think we haven't gone into it a lot, and not a lot of people have brought it up, but it's been a few NPCs that have brought it up. The racial problems with fallen Aasimar. I like to think probably as a child, just growing up, some people have tried him a little too much, and he was probably a little bit combative and probably a bit more less diligent as he is now. I think with the help of his family, he understands everyone has their right to think what they want to think, but the way you act is how people see you for real, not of who what they see actually. That makes them think of what to think, but the way you carry yourself will, in most cases, allow people to be like, oh, okay, I understand. You're not trying to do anything wrong or hurt me or any type of way. You're just trying to, live like everyone else is. So I think he understands and sees Dobby's the gears in Dobby's head. I think he understands them a little bit more than maybe everyone else. And I think mostly he's probably talking to himself at a younger age, but he would try to say to himself to not be as angry or as rebellious as he was as a child or younger.
That's interesting, especially since how old is Baltaim?
He's 26.
Yes, I think Dobby's actually older than him, but
yeah, by a lot, yeah.
By a lot, but he's still seeing echoes of his younger self in Dobby. That's a very interesting dynamic, actually. I mean, excited to learn more about Baltaim in the future and see how his dynamic grows with the other characters, especially since he is one of the kind of more laid-back, steady acting characters. But there seems like there's a lot of depth in there that we haven't been able to see yet.
Yeah. I'm excited to see. See what happens.
I'm as well, because I didn't know he had such depths, because he comes off as the basically super smooth young Morgan Freeman, like completely unflappable. But to know that he used to be a hot-headed jerk back in his day makes me very interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, maybe you and Quinn have some stuff in common as well.
Yeah, I think that's there's a dynamic in that triangle there somewhere, and I think that's there's a reason for all that.
Yeah, you'll be the three musketeers of aggro.
Yeah.
Fun times. I got sidetracked, but I did want to talk more about the fight because this was another interesting one. So this has something to do with like the fight that you did the episode before last as well. So when you're fighting monsters with cool effects, like it's both really interesting but also pain in the ass. I think we'll all agree.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about the process of just as you're in combat, figuring out what the fuck is going on with these weird monsters, because like you have to fight it while you're figuring out if it has some special way to kill you.
Yeah, like there's a lot of learning on your feet,
a lot of learning trial by fire, essentially. Sometimes literally.
Yeah, I was about to say sometimes literally by fire. This time trial by icy death. I don't know. It's just something where you have to take into account, okay, why did that just happen? Like I know the thing bit me and that's why I'm hurt. Why is this also burning? Then figure out why that is. And then wait a minute, why did it hurt me without touching me just because I stood next to it at the beginning of my turn? Aha, that sort of thing. It's like you have to just remember all the different times it can hurt you aside from when it smacks you around for something. And then figure out how to mitigate that.
It's a very nice answer, Chad. Yeah, I just hit things. I just go over and I hit things with my sword. I'm like, yep.
I mean,
I see you there. I'm gonna stab you with my sword. That's my thought process.
Well, I was basically trapped in the middle of the group, so I had a lot more time to think.
Yeah,
and try and figure that out.
I feel that. No, it's hard because you're some creatures like just naturally like, oh, I know what that creature is, but you're like, do I know what that creature is? You know what I mean? Like I think before I remember the Agathis right before we went in there, I was like, oh, as soon as I saw the creature, I was like, that was fucking dumb. Well,
never mind.
Yeah, I was like, well, I guess I got some temp HP.
Yeah, you at least get that.
Fuck. It's just sometimes you're just trying to go with the flow, trying to figure out I think for me though it is easier. I have a little bit more limited choice of things to do than say Chad with his 6,708 spells and combinations of stuff. I think I counted that last time.
Yeah, it's probably pretty close.
So yeah, I just I got a few things up my sleeves, and I try to use it when it's helpful, and then hit things with a sword after that.
Yeah, it's the plight of playing a warlock. I know that all too well because I'm playing one that multi-classed into a paladin right now. When you run out of spell slots, it's either Eldritch Blast or Smack It Around. One of the two, because you got nothing else going for you.
I mean, I love Eldritch Blast personally. It's my bae.
Oh yeah, it is the greatest cantrip of all time. But
it's so good, especially if you get Agonizing Blast. You're just like, okay, this is better than a crossbow. I'll just do this forever.
Get ready to be hit by a magic freight train 4 times per turn.
Fuck you. Oh my god, I love warlocks. Let's see. Okay, so battle. Yeah, I mean, apart from like it being weird and spiders, I think it was sort of kind of straightforward. Like I think this is maybe the first time in this game when you guys have just been doing like straight adventurer work. Like you go to a town, you find a job board, you do the job on the job board, you get paid for the job on the job board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this kind of the kind of work that your characters have done before, or is this you settling into a new profession?
Peek behind the curtain. The very first kind of small arc, that was Balsaim just doing a job board request.
Oh.
He was like, he went to the job board. He was like, I need to go find this Logan guy. And he's like, he just very I need 100 gold for something. All right, I'm gonna go find something that gives me 100 gold. And he's like, oh, um, this job board had 2 things on there. One was for Logan, and the other one was for a previously discovered or rediscovered friend of a friend. And he was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go find this Logan guy, get some money, and then get what I need to get done, and head off from there.
Yeah, as far as Quinn, he has not done any kind of adventuring whatsoever, like the job board quest or whatnot. He just, worked in family forge and then was a fuck nut around town. That was basically his life.
Professional fuck nut.
Kinda like semi-pro. I wouldn't say pro.
He was getting ready to go pro,
He was on the cusp. He was right there, and then his life took a turn.
He was so close to going pro.
He was.
Then he took some plot right to the knee. Terrible.
Yeah, he took tragic backstory to the knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry guys. I pre-gamed this one, so it's gonna be a little faster and looser than normal. Anyway, okay, so like going back to what I said, I did predict that Dobby is going to be vindicated, but I feel like the seeds of vindication are already being sowed. Like you did end up kind of following up on his leads. You did get a bit of his backstory. You did get a big old possible payday as a reward for going even further into his backstory. Are people starting to take Dobby more seriously now, or are we still feeling like he's just kind of a silly one?
For me, it's kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing. Like we'll find something like, oh, okay, so that explains that, and then he'll do something just dumb as fuck, and it'll like knock it back down a peg, but a little further up than where he was. It's like a gradual
steady
thing.
Progress.
Yeah, it's steady progress, but never constant progress. It's just spikes with a net gain, I will say.
Ball team always believes in Dobby. Yeah.
Me too, Ball. Me too.
He never disbelieves. Like he's like, oh yeah, I believe that you're like this person is fucking terrifying, but like I mean he's doesn't understand like that. I haven't seen this person, so I can't be like, oh, I don't fully understand what you're saying, because I haven't been in your situation, but like I believe what you're saying. If that is a path that we are brought to, I will be there to walk with you. I mean, if you're here to walk with me, I will walk beside you.
I'm so into it now. Platonically, I ship this, or not, whichever. Anyway, so going back to the question that I had before I went back to the other question that I had, following up on my other question. On my other question. So
this is why you're the best host and interviewer.
Thank you. I'm so good at this. I'm a real professional.
You sure are. Get it.
So with you guys having done some real adventuring work as a party, do you guys feel like, or do your characters feel like this is something that you would want to do? Like now that you have done a job with the party, seeing how you work together with money on the line, how you get paid together, what you use that money for, the decisions you make afterwards, are you guys like having an inkling that you might want to stick together for non-curse reasons, or is it still too early days?
I mean, I think with Quinn, because his whole narrative is very like goal oriented of first just trying to find his sister and now trying to figure out how to either bring the people from his village back or at least free their souls from eternal god-awful torment. He's just not really trying to figure out what a viable career option would be other than that. It's just more like going on to the next thing and then going on to the next thing, and then after he actually seriously accomplishes some stuff, he's going to have a lot of questions to have, well, just what do I do now sort of thing.
It's the really where do we go from here thing, like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer musical episode. I assume you all know what I'm referencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one song.
I think Buffy is also like in that like goal oriented like point of view too. He's like this honestly this like new mission. He's like if this is real quick, guys, I understand, like sure, but like
just in and out.
If this is in and out, sure, but like I would like to go follow up on that thing because like that's like where his mind is at right now. He's like, I would like to do that, like just set my curiosities and my worries at ease, and then we can go do our other thing. But I think if all else is even, he gets what he wants to do done. I think this is probably what he'd be doing regardless with his sister. I think him and his sister would be traveling the world, get into trouble, trying to help people, or trying to do something crazy.
Yeah.
So I think this is something he would be doing anyway. I think the people, getting to know these people more. I think he probably is more inclined to, after everything's fine, to continue to do things, that way, and possibly seeing what else we get into trouble into in the future.
Awesome. See, this is why Quinn and Ball need to be like best friends because they have so much in common.
Well,
I mean, they're pretty close, if not already.
Besties.
They're already besties.
Yeah.
The besties. What was I just thinking of?
Cats?
No, actually, this rare occasion I was not thinking about cats. I was thinking about something D&D related.
Tabaxi.
And not Tabaxi. You're going to say that.
Had to.
Fuck. Okay, it'll come back to me. So I think Quinn made a throwaway point, like right after you got out of the spider nest, which had, which struck me as actually very logical, like a very normal thing to think in the middle of, kind of abnormal situation. He said the advert was bizarrely vague, which I was like, yeah, it fucking was. So does he have like the impression that somebody was deliberately trying to lead an adventuring party into danger, or does he just think somebody was like, I just want them to go in, I don't care what happens after that? Was this malice or incompetence?
I don't believe he would try and attribute it to any kind of conspiracy because he's not Dobby, but man. Yeah. Quinn doesn't have the big board connected with red yarn anywhere, but I think at the very least, he probably believes that this was someone who had a problem that was way bigger than 500 gold, and they wanted to only pay no more than 500 gold. So they were as vague as possible on the ad. Like, there are pests. And they left out the part of giant, poisonous, frost-bearing, multiple spider pests.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Or maybe there's a word limit on the ad.
I see it to like they're like they got like the orking guy there. They're like, oh no, it's just ants. Come out and bring the thing. And they're like, oh, also I have termites too. Like, could you just deal with that while I'm here? Just come on, man. They're just trying to like get a deal.
Yeah.
Oh, in addition to ants, there's also murder hornets. I got like about 1,000 of them out.
And you can just spray that while you're here. Like, you're already here, man.
Get that nest in the corner while you're here thing.
Yeah. Maybe I'll give you $20 extra. Just.
Yeah, I'll give you like a lemonade. Could you just take care of that for me? Oh, amazing! I still can't think of what I was going to say.
It'll come back to you. Probably 5 minutes after we go off the air.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to like message you guys on Discord and be like, this was my question. And I'm going to write it down and like ask it the next time you guys are on in 2 weeks or so. So you guys actually managed to finally find Dobby's stabby things, knives, swords.
Stabby things are, I like those terms better.
Stabby things is a good all-purpose term because one's a sword, one's a dagger. But you know what? Yeah. Stabby things is
what? They both stab. Stabby things with ladies on them.
That's perfectly. That sounds reasonable. That sounds very apt description of what they are.
I will allow it.
Thank you. I'm the host, so I get to make the rules. But I appreciate this. I appreciate you seconding this. Okay, so I was kind of like biting my nails a little bit as I was watching this. I didn't watch it live. I watched it afterwards. But as I was watching this scene, because I was like, oh, they're gonna fuck it up with this NPC, because you guys were like being reluctant to pay 100 gold, which I was like, that's actually kind of reasonable. So why was this initial reluctance? Like 100 gold's not that much. Like, you guys aren't that liquid, but you were liquid enough.
It is for 2 swords. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean,
I think
it's a
just
lot of
like
money for 2 swords that we
like,
don't really want.
Swords are like what, 25 gold or something like that?
these are fancy ones. They're
True.
fancy.
True, but like that's just a lot of, and especially because we just like got like that's a fifth of what we just got.
It is, yeah.
So
And
we're like,
also,
I was like you come down, it's like 80, like that's all maxing like 80, and I'm just like, that one, okay, well,
yeah.
okay, give him the gold, guys, give him the gold, fuck it.
Give them the gold. We're gonna make
No,
this
no more
work.
talking.
Before the price goes
here,
up.
here you go.
It's gonna go up.
Yeah, part of it for me was just like, these are swords that we don't really want to have to pay for because they were owned by this moron before he fell asleep in an alley.
Like you do.
Yeah, no, like he do.
Like you
Like
do.
no,
Like
no
Dobby
one wants
do.
to pay for their car again. Like someone stole their car and you have to pay for your car again, but it's like
right.
50%. You're like, well, fuck me. Like this is stupid.
Right.
My
That's
car.
literally my thing.
Yeah,
Why am I
that's
paying
my
you
car.
for my
Like,
thing?
Like fuck. So it's just like
Awesome. I did think it was funny though, because then you gave that nice old lady a very generous discount the next minute.
Yeah, that was not agreed upon by everybody. That was no.
Are y'all gonna have words about that?
No, see, in character, not at all, because Quid will not think to negotiate a price for helping anybody.
Mhm.
Out of character, what happened there was the player mistook the character looking back as needing approval for something, and he decided to have his big dumb barbarian jump in and do the negotiating, and instead made the price go down for no good reason, because he's actually not that stupid.
Yeah. This dumb warlock also also was gonna reason with the person, because I think I also, just in the flow of things, I heard like, oh, this is like all the coins you had. So like, yeah, just give us like 200 gold and like the potions, and then like, yeah, like get the discount. And Quinn Cindric had said something, and I was like, wait, but, and then you're like, okay, that's fine. I'm like, oh well, never mind. I guess that's gonna happen there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where in character, I'm just like, okay, this makes perfect sense. Out of character, I'm just wanting to throw out. I'm like, what are you doing? I need that shield.
Need that shit.
I need more money.
Can't believe you taught yourselves out of potions. Like, you always want potions.
I mean,
we'll renegotiate.
We're definitely going to renegotiate, because
we'll just, especially there's some bullshit. There's like fucking giant on kegs just eating people.
You guys are gonna like end up fighting a sandworm or something.
Yeah, we're gonna be like, okay, ma'am, I know we said 100, but did you know your husband was like swallowed by the inside of a sandworm? We had to like actually go into the sandworm and pull him out. So,
ma'am, we had to fight these monsters from Tremors, and I was not pleased.
100 back up to a 300 again. Let's just
and really, let's make it 350. Do you see the acid burns on my colleagues over here?
Yeah. Dobby is like, his foot is missing.
Dobby's other eye is missing.
This, ma'am.
Dobby's blind now. Both his eyes are missing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so are you guys like a little bit worried about going into the desert? Because as was pointed out on the stream, some of you are essentially wearing ovens.
Yes, I am wearing an oven.
Yeah.
This is actually the thing I was saying after taking the job, because clearly they bring up the whole thing about how Baltame is going to really super want to go and do this one thing. And my logic behind wanting to take this one job is it's a good test to see how well we can survive in the desert, because it's literally a day, like a day trip. And if the day trip into the desert super fucks us up, then we know we need to do way different things to prepare when we go for the couple of weeks to the south that we're looking at.
Yeah. So you're going to get heat stroke and then have to do a lot more spider fighting jobs to get money is what I'm hearing.
I have like a tenuous idea how to like help like a small amount, maybe like an hour or two. So he's like not oven the whole time. But you know, I don't know how that's gonna work.
I don't
Yeah,
know
I
either,
mean,
especially because I like my high AC. I don't want to get rid
right.
of it.
I mean, theoretically, there's probably like a wizard somewhere who could do like a cooling spell on your metal armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
Not to
cast
give you guys ideas.
the spell of theme park line misters? You know,
Yeah.
the fans with the mist in front of them. Yeah.
So you're just gonna be constantly a little bit damp.
Yeah, a little bit. Like if you're in
Okay.
line for something at Busch Gardens, you know, just you get constantly sprayed.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay. I still can't remember what I wanted to ask. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to our topic for the day, which is running published modules. Now I know Chad has. Caleel, have you ever run like a pre-made module?
Yeah. I've run
Awesome.
a few. Yeah.
Awesome, possum. Good. I picked the right people for this week.
Now
Okay,
I know why I'm on.
yeah, literally that's why you're on. But also because I wanted to get you on a couple weeks ago because Quinn like keeps doing interesting stuff while
Yeah,
he's
stop
still
being so
banned.
fucking interesting.
I'm trying. I can't help it. I'm just,
Irish
you know.
Yeah,
bastard.
by decree of serenity, I was not allowed to have Chad on for a couple weeks because he was on like 3 weeks in a row. But
Yeah,
then
just
he
so
insisted on
interesting.
doing cool stuff in the games, and I was like, well, I want to ask him about that stuff.
I keep trying to be boring, I swear.
No, you don't.
You're
Don't
like,
lie
I'm
to me.
gonna sit in this corner, and then like, you, sir, with the red hair, come here.
Oh wait, I just remembered what I wanted to ask.
Oh, cool. Before the show
Chad,
ended. Good job.
right? Okay, so Chad, what the fuck is up with your sister? Does she like you? Does your sister like you?
Yeah, it's just one of those things of I don't know of the two of you who has an idiot sibling or like an idiot cousin, at least. Like
Oh, yeah.
someone
That's
who
very normal.
you basically most of the time growing up, a lot of what this person has done is just fuck that sort of thing. Like like every so often there would be something to come up where Quinn just does something dumb. His sister never had that problem. So even though he's the older one who tried kind of sort of to help looking after her, he kind of sort he kind of sort of needed a bit more in just the no, don't do that. No, don't take that bet and do that stupid thing. No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. So it's not that she doesn't like him. It's just more like
she's very tired. She's real tired.
Probably. And, Quinn has changed somewhat from being the idiot that he was, but he did also blow the back end off of a building by accident.
It happens.
It does. And to be fair, I wasn't the first one to cast that damn spell. That was just the last straw.
There you go. Okay, so now back to moving on.
Yes.
Okay, so modules. So both of you, first off, tell me about the process of just like picking out a module to run. Do you usually pick ones that like you've heard through word of mouth that were cool, famous ones? Do you seek one based out on theme, based on the players? What's the thought process?
I mean, mostly just ones like I want to run. Like, like some modules are just like absolute awful, to like just chug through. Like the beginning parts of Out of the Abyss is just like absolute awful. Like they're just like it just goes for forever, and you can just be in the Underdark for like ever, and like to start off a game that way, it's not as fun, I think, personally for me. Going to Underdark, I think should be an ordeal. Like, oh yeah, like you're in the Underdark, but like starting off at like level 1, you're in Underdark. Everything can kill you. You're just like, well, you basically like I think like in it is like, yeah, prepare to die, have characters die because like it's just like things can kill you.
A mushroom's gonna eat you.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that mushroom is not safe. Oh yeah, and there's like there's poisonous like water, like there's just like things in the book is like the first like chapters like this can kill players, this can kill players, this can also kill players. Players can also be captured and re-slaved again if this happens, and if they go into these cities, they will be captured again. So it's like, oh, that's just like, oh, that's a lot of not fun.
Yeah, There's a ton down there. Like when you were literally just wandering in a place where beholders, aboleths, entire societies of Drow and Duergar, and other things that have historically been put out as the monsters that will kill players. And this is just like, this is where they have their conventions, like you're walking through the suburban neighborhood of Eldritch Horrors
hey, Jim.
as level 1. Like, hey,
Jim
Bob, nice lawn. And then Bob the Beholder just melts your face off.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He seemed so nice at the barbecue last week.
Yeah. Didn't know Bob was a murderer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and Mind Flayers, too. Those live down.
Oh, yeah.
Like, every manner of horror is in the Underdark. So, yeah, I don't like the idea of the module that starts you off there.
And it's like, there's like no, like, Underdark gets a bad rap, man. There's like no like fun people in Underdark.
Yeah. Well,
there's some dwarves, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
And also, like, the best thing, there's also the insanity mechanic. If you're there too long, you start to go mad.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Didn't know about that.
Yeah, I've never run it or play it, but I've looked up enough stuff to know that is one of the aspects of it, is because of the whole like thing of like demons are literally coming into the Underdark. There is the abyss insanity mechanic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Rough, guys. That sounds rough.
Yeah. I think if I'm picking one, it would be basically one I want to run, and also probably one that I would want to be able to blackmail someone into running for me later, because I would also want to play it. Like I'm playing, I'm running Curse of Strahd right now.
It's so fun.
Thank you. And at some point, I would also like to successfully complete the Curse of Strahd. So, not that I'm going to hold this over the heads of the people who are playing later, but I'm totally going to hold this over the heads of the people who are playing later, that I want to actually kill that bastard vampire as opposed to eventually be that bastard vampire.
Fun. I'll run Strahd for you someday.
Dope.
Yay.
Deal has been struck.
The pact is formed. Okay. Actually, that ties into one of my later questions. What's like the replayability factor for these modules? Because like it's the same book every time, but like how can you make it new? Like if you ran Strahd, then you play Strahd, possibly even with the same people. Like how do you make that new, fresh, and funky every time?
Strahd's an easy one though, because
with the Taroko deck,
yeah, there's a randomization mechanic that's literally built right into it.
Yeah. So yeah, Strahd's pretty easy to like you just like, let's play Strahd every week, every 6 months or so. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, you won't have two of the same, Strahd games because there's so much things that could be, randomized between that.
Right. Plus, whenever someone is trying to randomize and do the Taroko thing, if they draw a card like, no, we did it last time, you just draw again.
Like, no, fuck that. We just go to another one. Yeah. I think like there are some like the Tyranny of Dragons one's just kind of straightforward. Like you can't like really just like change.
Yeah. I
mean, you can change things about it, but I'm saying like you can't like go through Tyranny of Dragons and then like, oh, something different happens. It's like, oh no, you kind of have to follow this. You're following the cultists, so it's like this kind of just goes into one track, the whole time.
Yeah, a lot of the published stuff, it's basically, it is a very linear thing. Like it's a bit railroady because you are on a track to do a thing. You do the thing, you go do the next thing, you know. And then there's some like Strahd. It's a sandbox that allows you to railroad your players just for fun.
Right.
Like you have to go in the house.
Yeah.
Tried to leave, can't do that.
Try to leave? Nah, the mist / DM says, get the fuck in the house. I spent a lot of time on this.
Back there and fight those things.
Fight those ghosts and zombies and stuff.
Dead.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, that sort of flows into my next question, which is how straight do you usually play a module? Do you like mix it with homebrew? Just depend on what the module is? And how straight should you play them, in your opinion?
If you're like new players or you're like a new DM, I mean, play it pretty straight because I mean, it's a tool. It's there to tell you, this is, if they go and kill this dragon, this is what happens after they kill this dragon. So it will let you think less about like, oh, what's going to happen if they do this. And if you can think less about, A, B, you can use your, free, time and brain space to be like, oh, well, if they do something else, I'm going to think about something, different of what can happen. So you can like add in that like changeability and like adaptability into a module if like read it through a few times and like understand like, oh, this is like the path it's going to go. And then I can just like, okay, I don't really like this per se, but I add this in here if I want to,
Yeah. And a lot of the stuff that that I like doing, it just depends on, because even if you're running a module, you have characters who will have stuff in a backstory that is something difficult to incorporate in if you just leave everything as it sits in the book. So if you want to really get in there, especially something like Curse of Strahd, where you're supposed to try to traumatize your players a little bit, like it's a gothic horror thing. You want people to come out a little fucked up. So you can't really dial in on that unless you tweak some things around and, homebrew some stuff just to try to add more mechanics in there that will be, a little different. Like, last night the other night when we were just
and
playing
the stuff thing.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I did is there's a part where you go up to gallows and you're supposed to have one of the characters see themselves hanging there. I was like, that's not fun. I can do something better than that. And then the one character that went up to it, because she wouldn't be bothered by seeing herself hanging there dead as much as she would be bothered by seeing the body of one of her dead family members hanging up there. So I was like, oh, we're doing that now.
Yeah.
It was just like an on-the-spot decision, like, no, I can do better. I can dig harder.
Yeah, but like, see, like that's like something like, like it's like following the like the structure of the like, the module, but it's like, no, like that's a more fun idea. Like, it doesn't say like, they see one of them, like one of the party members hanging from the
you roll at random and then it's someone in the group.
But you're like, but like you're like incorporating like what they're saying to you, but like, no, I rather it be, this thing that actually like, oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like you use what's there the same way you use anything just in any of the books. It's a great jumping off point.
Yeah,
and if you have a better idea to try and just plus this or expand that, then do that. Or just an idea where you can be like, I'm going to shoehorn this thing directly into that spot because it's going to really mess with the character. I know it's not in the book, but it's going there.
Nice. That's a nice thing about D&D in general, is that it explicitly says that as the DM, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice, it's nice
the best rule
thing. Yeah.
It's a nice, actually, it's like, fuck you, look at rule number 0. DM's always right.
Yep.
Oh, amazing.
First rule of D&D, I'm the god here.
Yeah.
Worship me. I will take donuts as tribute. Anyway, that was actually someone I used to play with was like explicitly, you can bribe me with food to make things go better for you as a character. That's a real thing.
I would really like to try doing that, but literally every D&D game I'm in right now is online.
Yeah, I'd have to mail you food.
Well, and the one person who could successfully bribe me with food is my wife.
So I feel like she already has a leg up, yeah.
She does, yes, because if I make her too mad, that will carry over into the rest of my life. I'm not about that.
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay, so with these modules, and Chad brought this up, like oftentimes like character backstories, like the wide world of character backstories where you can essentially make any shit up. Like these do not always fit super well with modules. So what do you do to like incorporate character backstories into a pre-made module? Because like with a homebrew, you can pretty easily just, rewrite the story a little bit to incorporate these or even make them major parts of the plot. So it's a bit different there.
Yeah. I mean, you do whatever it is that fits with the narrative as far as the story you're trying to tell overall, because, in the module, whatever it may be, it's the party is going to do this thing. Like this is the end goal of whatever it is they're doing. They're going to kill this dragon or stop Tiamat from rising up and destroying all of creation, or kill the vampire lord, or rob that one vault in Waterdeep and all that. And it just turns into what can you do on the way and what happens during that, because the large story of this is the one thing they're going to do. That's basically the same way as describing the entirety of the first 3 Star Wars movies. I mean, the real first 3 Star Wars movies, not numerically.
We know.
Eventually they destroy the Empire.
Right.
That's it. On the way is where you get all the good stuff.
I like to look at the there's like pre-made bonds in the books. Instead of like, they tell you like, give one of your characters these bonds. Like, no, fuck that. I'm like, a lot of times there's NPCs that, sporadically pop up into a lot of these modules. So I'm like, I'll just tell them, I'll message the player, or, I'll message each player and be like, how do you, like, you can decide how this happens, but how do you know this person X? Why would you want to help this person? Like, they need you to do something. Why would this person be someone you would want to help? Why is, you can explain how they are in tight, like, interworked into your backstory, how that goes through, like, for example, Lost Mines of Phandelver. The dwarf who is the one who asks you to go find the mines. I ask all the players, like, there's a dwarf in Neverwinter. How do you, like, explain how you want to, but how do you know this dwarf? He would like to ask your help, and he would pay you to help. How do you know this dwarf, and what relationship do you have? And I might ask someone that's like, oh, I'm going to be a rogue. I want to be in the Zentarum. I might let them be in the Zentarum, be already into a a faction or something, so they have a little bit more like pop into the story, so they can like already feel a little bit more weighted in there. And then that kind of helps shape their background into that module a little bit.
I like that a lot. It really takes advantage of like the collective storytelling potential of D&D, even with a pre-written story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the entire story is pre-written, as far as if your characters follow this path, eventually they will get to the big bad and slay the big bad, as long as the dice don't betray them. Right. And then it just turns into, what are they trying to do on the way otherwise? Like, how are your characters interacting with each other, with the world around them, and how is their backstory something that is driving them to do whatever they're doing? And how can you use that to change the world around them that they're interacting with? Like, because I'm adding a lot of stuff in on what I'm doing right now, just because if I didn't, it would still be fun, because everybody would still eventually, spoilers, kill Strahd. But it wouldn't be as.
Kill Strahd? Do they really?
I mean, ideally, yeah, because I don't want to actually kill everybody and then have to do it all again. Because people are like, no, I want to kill the Strahd. Like, all right, we'll roll new characters. Damn it, we'll start this again.
From the top, guys.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, yeah, ideally, eventually, they are all going to get there and they're all going to kill the vampire. But then it just turns into, how is this going to be a more satisfying experience? Like, what can I do to get them to accomplish other goals on the way? Like, there's a whole thing of the short-term goal, the long-term goal, how many short-term goals are they going to be able to do on the way that will just sort of impact who they are when they get to the final battle, and make them really sort of want it more.
Cool beans. Do you guys have like a favorite module that you've run in the past or currently?
I have to say Curse of Strahd currently, because that is
yeah, that's a cheap answer.
I'm sorry, it's the module I'm running. It's actually the one I have run. So
that's such a basic answer, Chad. Everyone loves sexy vampires. Okay, we get it.
I mean, we all hate the sexy vampire.
Yeah.
Even when you hate them, they love them. You're like, oh, you're such a fucking asshole.
Yeah, Strahd's got real big dick energy, and it's like,
he does.
Does he? I mean, because spoilers for the game that none of you are watching, we just read his diary. That was not full of big dick energy.
He projects a lot of it. I mean, like, he has this persona of big dick energy.
Okay.
Other than Curse of Strahd, I'd probably say probably say the starter kit, the Lost Mines of Vanilla. It's actually a pretty
Oh,
decent.
nice.
It's actually a pretty decent module. Like it's
I mean,
very
it is
open and
D&D training
also
wheels for a reason, you know.
yeah, open and also like railroad at the same time. Where like you can do things in some different orders, and it kind of helps you if you're that is your first thing DMing. It helps you understand how to improvise and how to railroad and how to, railroad in a good way, not like
Mhm.
like you
How
have
to
to go
keep
here
the
because I
players
say you
on
have to go
track.
here.
Yeah.
And kind of there's spellcasters in there. There's monsters. There's melee fighters. It's a nice, well-rounded module, I think.
Nice.
That's a nice, well-rounded answer.
Yeah.
See, I complimented you. I didn't call you basic or anything, Caleel. Jerk.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
That's true.
Okay. In your guys' opinion, like, should beginning DMs do pre-made modules before jumping into homebrew? Because personally, I jumped right into homebrew because I did not want to read things. And it went okay. It went pretty well, actually, I think.
That's the most truth answer possible,
Yeah.
I think.
I just didn't want to read shit,
I feel that.
Yeah, I can respect that. I can totally respect that desire.
I think, if you have the capability and the ability to do, homebrew on your first run, that's more power to you. I think if you, but you probably understood the rules and how the game worked a little bit better though when you first did. So, no,
mostly.
Okay.
Well enough, it would seem.
Well enough. I depended on my players a lot to remember the rules, which was
I think if like this, like literally, if you've never done it before, never played it before, you like have read the rules and like trying to like figure out how to do it, I think you should try to your hand at just doing a module first because it like doing a whole like world and setting and like factions, that's a lot of like man hours to go into something.
Yeah.
And if you don't quite understand how something could be like a broken encounter or a broken like item or a broken character that like like an evil guy to fight against, you'd be like, oh, I thought they should have beat this person at level 16 wizard at level 2 and they all died. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah. For me, it kind of depends on like what's your comfort level as far as do you think you can actually narratively put together an entire world on your own, or do you need to use something else as a jumping off point? Because like the Adventure Zone is a good example of what you can do if you're basically because they started by using Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Yeah.
And they did that for like an episode and a half before Griffin's just like, fuck it, let's just do something else. And then he starts turning it into what it became,
Which was a huge sprawling world.
It was, yeah. And because that's the basic principle of, you can start with something and turn it into basically whatever you want. Because nobody else is like reading along in the book with you, ideally, and no one's going to police you. Oh, it's not supposed to happen that way. Like, this is my world, motherfucker. It happens the way I says it happens.
Actually, we're supposed to fight a dragon at point X in this case. DM Chad?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Now it's 3 dragons because you mentioned it. Yeah. So as players having like played in pre-made modules, do you notice any real difference between them and homebrew? Like, are the NPCs different? Is the story a bit tighter usually? Just are there any noticeable differences from the player angle?
I mean, from what I've played of modules, it's the difference between that and homebrew. It does come in some of the NPCs, because if you know your DM well enough, you know the kind of NPCs that they will create, and you know the kind of NPCs that they just have fun with playing. And then you see the kind of NPCs that will just show up and like, there's this person here, there's this person here, and the DM can try and tweak them a little bit, but at their core, they're still whatever it is the book said they were, because that is the purpose they would have to serve in the narrative sometimes. So like, that's where I can see the differences sometimes in some of the stuff. And I've actually had a DM inject an NPC that had no business being in the setting at all, because they just really felt like putting their own thing in there just because.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference. I can't quantify it, I don't think. But
Can you
yeah,
qualify it?
No. Maybe. Yeah, because just like going with the NPC thing, like, you know, in the modules, like NPC has to be helpful. Like NPC, there's no like useless NPC like in a module, because if they're useless, they wouldn't put in the module, because like this person literally doesn't help, you know, move the story along. So like they're like, everyone knows at least something. It might not be helpful right away, but it has some value to it. You know, in homebrew, you can be like, oh no, Jim is fucking jerking you off. Like, he doesn't fucking know what happened. He's like, you know, he just walked into the bar. He's like, oh, I saw everything. No, he did it, but you know, he's like, oh, what's going on with Jim? Like, and he could just be fucking yanking your chain the whole time. But like, that's not really a thing in models, because it's like, well, you can't. If you have your characters going like a session tangent, if someone just lies to them outright and has no use.
They're like, we must go to the mountains.
Yes.
To find the plot device. Yeah.
To find the MacGuffin.
Right.
The MacGuffin. The holy MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Told of in legend.
Yeah, modules don't really account for Jim the town jackass very
Yeah.
well.
Though honestly, they should.
I think everything should have a mechanic of town asshole, you know, like.
Yeah. Just this one fucker who will tell you nothing
everything.
useful.
I saw everything. He's like, I saw everything. You need to go down to the Underdark and find the MacGuffin.
But there's really nothing there except a fuck you sign.
Fuck you, Jim. I'm not going.
He just wants attention.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between, you know, the kind of NPCs you can find in the module and the kind of NPC I created once of a mentally disturbed homeless man who was literally trying to give the characters useful information, but in the form of things he hallucinated, because again, he was not well and the town was not taking care of him.
Yeah.
You know, like he tried telling the party that the lady that had chicken for hands was beaten and kidnapped with a guy with wolf arms, and it was going to be a lady who worked in the local tavern and gave him a leftover chicken at the end of the night, was kidnapped as part of a cult trying to sacrifice them by the head of the town guard, who had wolves on his armor because he was that kind of stylized armor wearing douchebag. It was useful information given in the most useless way possible.
That's really good.
Count for that, wizards.
So he's Quinn right now.
Yes.
That's very good, actually. I like that. It's because it's essentially a riddle. Did they take care of him? Did they get him a home?
Yeah. I mean, they would have, but the game kind of fell apart. And then
sad.
Yeah.
Poor Mr. Chicken Hands. Okay, and I think that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you, guys. This has been super fun. And thank you to all the viewers for watching another episode of whatever this is. I just can't know what it is. It's What's the Damage. So join us next week on Tuesday for another episode of What's the Damage. Join us on Friday for the next episode of Roll for Damage. Stick around for helpful and useful links during the end credits, essentially. And we will see you next week. Good night. Say good night, guys.
Good night, guys.